Yamaha. Enjoy the ride. It's time for MotoGP. So earlier on this evening in Q2, a record-breaking Q2, Jorge Martin set a new all-time lap record. You can see on the screens there a 1:50.789. What a way to kick off the new season for the Prima Pramac racing rider. Around this 5.3 kilometre Losail International Circuit, 16 corners. Technical in parts as well, hard braking into the first corner, decelerating from around 360 kilometres an hour into the second gear, turn one. Luca Marini was the first fall of the season in MotoGP at turn 2 earlier on today. Sector 3, the fast part of this Losail circuit, has been where Marc Marquez has been super strong. Aleix Espargaro looking good on the factory Aprilia in the final sector. And we await the much anticipated debut of Pedro Acosta here at the Losail International Circuit. Good evening and welcome to the Losail International Circuit in Doha. Welcome to the Qatar Airways Grand Prix of Qatar, as the start of an historic MotoGP World Championship season is finally here. The lights are on and it feels like MotoGP is home. Back in Doha for round one once again, with the 22 best riders in the world ready to star under the stars. Tonight's the night MotoGP 75th anniversary celebrations get underway. And what a season lies ahead over the next 8 months and 21 rounds. Super Saturday was back with a bang. It's already delivered and some. Jorge Martin powering to the season's first pole. And under the night lights here in Qatar, there is downtown Doha. It's all eyes on Marc Marquez and Pedro Acosta as they begin exciting new adventures. And Pecco Bagnaia commences his quest for more glory. The number one looking to stay on top for a third successive season. Saturday night fever MotoGP style is building here in Qatar. We're back underway with what is sure to be a nail-biting Tissot sprint over 11 laps in just about 20 minutes time. Matt Burt, Lewis Sutterby in the commentary box, Simon Crafart down in pit lane. The stage is set. This unique setting, this unique scenario, Qatar's wonderful night race. Such a spectacular way to get a new season underway. And this feels like it has all the ingredients to be a super special one. With Jorge Martin, a 1:50.789 pole position. Number 14 in MotoGP for the Martinator. 3 of his last 4 poles in MotoGP. He's gone on to complete the treble. In Misano, in Motegi, in Thailand, pole, Tissot sprint win and Grand Prix win. Can he make it a 4th here tonight? 11 laps, he was the Tissot sprint king, wasn't he, of 2023 in that groundbreaking new era for the MotoGP World Championship. 9 sprint wins for Martini racked up in a breakthrough 2023 season, but it's catch him if you can. Here's the man they're all chasing, Lewis, reigning world champion, Pecco Bagnaia, who, better say, had a tough introduction to life as the reigning world champion here in Qatar yesterday. 10th and 12th in the dry and wet sessions yesterday. 5th on the grid here tonight with a 1:50.928. In the game, looking strong and crystal clear, he is the overwhelming pre-season favourite.
He certainly is. It's Bagnaia who will have to do the catching after qualifying didn't quite go his way. This was the moment where it went wrong for him. While he didn't lose that lap time, he certainly lost time in that final lap of Q2, which left him from a potential pole or certainly front row to 5th on the grid. Although cast your minds back to the 2023 Qatar Grand Prix here 4 months ago, Pecco Bagnaia started from 5th on the grid, and in the main race on the Sunday night he led into turn 1. So do not write the world champion off.
Most certainly do not. 28 podiums last season, the only weekend throughout the whole of 2023 where Pecco Bagnaia did not score at least 1 podium across the sprint or the Grand Prix was way back at the start of last year at the Argentina round in Termas de Rio Hondo. Aleix Espargaro coming into the new season as MotoGP's wily old campaigner, the elder statesman now, 34 years of age, but he's like a good old red wine. He gets better with age, doesn't he? Aleix, he had an outstanding N2 Q2 earlier on today, a 150.872, just under a tenth of a second away from Jorge Martin. Aleix Espargaro comes into this new season saying it's the best Aprilia's ever ridden. It's the best version of Aleix Espargaro, which sounds like a potent combination, Lewis. The Aprilia man goes from second.
Doesn't sound like a rider winding down his MotoGP career, does it? Aleix Espargaro, the uber experienced Spaniard, his 322nd Grand Prix he'll be heading into tomorrow, of course, and he'll be looking to try and add to that solitary Tissot sprint win that he took last year in Barcelona. That Aprilia didn't necessarily show its hand early in testing, but when they put the final package together, it's clearly competitive. To put that on the front row of the grid between the Ducatis of Martin and Bastianini, who will surround him on the front row, shows what the step forward Aprilia have made. I guess his concern will be how he can match these Ducatis, particularly on that long pit straight.
And there has been so much talk since the ink had dried on the Gresini Ducati contract for this man, Marc Marquez, the 31-year-old Spaniard. Still strange, isn't it, not to see him in Repsol Honda livery. 11 seasons he was with HRC, one of the most golden eras in MotoGP history, as Marc Marquez won 6 world championships. But of course it was a painful and difficult 2023. He decided to seek a new challenge, a new motivation, and does new success beckon for the Spanish rider. He goes from 6th place on the grid. It was an ultra competitive, fiercely fought Q2 earlier on today. Marquez on the back of the second row in 6th place, ahead of his Ducati debut, a 150.961. That was just under 2/10 away from pole position. Marquez, can he break those Honda 11-year habits? He said it's when he's in close combat, it's when he's in a big group, which he's going to find himself in very, very shortly. That's when the old habits die hard. He's still in that learning process, in that adaptation process from the Honda to the Ducati. But bodes well, Lewis, 6th place, he's going to be a danger man. Just
in contention. Another tenth of a second would have put Marc Marquez second on the grid. That's how close and competitive qualifying 2 was earlier on tonight. Marc Marquez, as you say, always felt as if his best work in testing was being done over longer runs. Of course, the longest of them will come tomorrow night, but over 11 laps, Marc Marquez, once the competitive juices start flowing, you just know he's going to be there. He's Marc Marquez, why wouldn't he be?
Under the Qatar Night Stars, we welcome the Stars and Stripes livery of our newest addition to the MotoGP grid, a welcome addition as well, as Trackhouse Racing come to play in MotoGP. Justin Marks spoke to Jack Appleyard earlier on in the broadcast, saying how excited he was to be part of this great championship. They were very unfortunate, could probably count themselves very unlucky not to have both Miguel Oliveira and Raul Fernandez fighting for pole in Q2. They both missed out on a direct spot in Q2 in that frantic Q1 session by a whisker. Fernandez did get himself through, but a crash late on in Q2 sees him 12th place on the grid. 3rd race in a row, though, the Spaniard did find himself in that second qualifying session. Got to say as well, when you look at his race pace, don't discount Fernandez if he can get a good start and be aggressive early on for coming through to potentially scrap it out for the top 6 here.
Yeah, he of course is on the 2023 Aprilia, the sole 23 spec Aprilia on the racetrack. The other 3, his teammate Miguel Oliveira and the factory bikes, of course, of Aleix Espargaro and Maverick Vinales, are on the 2024 spec RSGP. But this is a circuit that's often brought the best out of Raul Fernandez. He was fastest on Friday here late last year and went very well on his Moto2 debut here a couple of years prior. So with clearly a relaxed Raul Fernandez, you get the feeling that will prove to be a fast one. As you say, he might feel he could have been higher up the grid than 12th, but he'll be confident of challenging for some sprint points here this evening. Remember, points down to 9th here tonight.
Yeah, he only scored points in 1 sprint last year. That was on our first visit, and exciting times. We made a first trip to India last September. Ended the season strongly, didn't he, Fernandez? A 5th place in Valencia was a career best for him. Now then, concessions, performance-enhancing concessions, they hope for Honda and Yamaha this year, and it looks like they need them as well, because it was a A brutal start to the new season for Fabio Quartararo. Finds himself qualifying down in 16th place. He hasn't really, to be frank, rain or shine this weekend, troubled the top 10 so far. 13th time in the last 21 Grand Prix now. Quartararo has missed qualifying inside the top 10. Really, really struggling, Lewis. We knew he was worried about his one-lap pace coming into this Qatar Grand Prix. We know that he's going to have to play the patient game. Yamaha need time to solve a multitude of sins on that M1, but 16th place is not the way that Fabio Quartararo wanted to come out the gate, particularly in a contract year as well.
Yeah, the 16th place he starts from on the grid, that's kind of where Yamaha have been really through testing so far. He always tells us, and Yamaha have told us over the last year or so, that over race pace they don't really have many problems, but they just can't get themselves a sensible grid position. Fabio Quartararo produced a 151.9. That would have been a belting lap time 4 months ago, but the speed at which MotoGP has moved on means that that was only good enough for 16th and 1.2 seconds slower than Jorge Martin was in qualifying 2, and that's the measure of the gap that Yamaha have got to close over a single lap.
Yeah, and herein lies the problem. Fabio Quartararo in the 2 pre-season tests, and Sepang and Qatar, now here this weekend in the opening Grand Prix, has never lapped faster on the Yamaha at those circuits, yet in all 3 occasions he was outside of the top 10. So he's got his work cut out just to get inside the points here. As Lewis mentioned, the top 9 will score points. Here is the back cam, which is going to bring us some breathtaking footage, isn't it? In this 11-lap Tissot sprint, and the full race distance over 22 laps here in Qatar tomorrow night. Well, they have become the benchmark. They are the reference. They have dominated MotoGP over the last 2 or 3 seasons, both from a team perspective, a constructor perspective, and certainly a rider perspective, with Pecco Bagnaia this season trying to become just a 10th rider to win 3 straight Premier Class titles. All's well so far, it looks like, for the factory Ducati team. How are they feeling going into the new campaign? Let's hear from team boss Davide Tardozzi, who joins Simon down the grid. Good evening, gentlemen.
Yeah, good evening, Davide. Through testing, your riders looked amazing, especially Pecco, but everyone expected the track conditions to change, and they did. It looked like it, made it a little bit tricky, but both your riders on the first 2 rows, what are your feelings?
Yeah, I think that tonight the racetrack will be better. I think that it will be more grip, so it helps for what it was our problems. So we'll see. I think that the first 2 laps will be really incredible, because the first 2 row guys will be mad to lead the race.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, good point that by Davide Tardozzi. Of course, these guys are not racing over 100 days. They are chomping at the bit to get the gloves off, unleashed for 2024.
Remember last year's sprint.
What these guys are going to do, though, Lewis, they've got to try and find a way to mess up the early rhythm of Jorge Martin, because if Martin can get the start, get the drop on the field, we've seen it on countless occasions in the sprints, with clear track ahead of him, not having to worry about fuel conservation, not having to worry about tyre management. If he can hit the front, Jorge Martin can prove to be an unbeatable force at the front of the short bursts in the sprint. Great start to 2024 for the factory of Aprilia team, particularly from this man, their captain, Aleix Espargaro, ahead of his 322nd Grand Prix. Second on the grid for Aleix. Let's hear from his team boss, Paolo Bonora, with Simon.
Yes, we're right next to Aleix now. I had to come to you, Paolo. Second on the grid. Aleix put the lap together like you would have known he could, but it's not easy to do. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, for sure, an unbelievable result. The second in the grid, for sure. He put everything together, and we are happy about him. For Vinales' side, he didn't find the confidence during his qualifying lap, but we are quite sure that he will be able to recover few positions during the race.
And Aleix, how do you think the fight can go? With the Ducatis on the straight, you're so quick through the infield.
Will not be easy, but we trust 100% on our riders.
Best of luck.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks to Paolo Bonora, thanks to Simon Craig for Aleix Espargaro, his best qualifying in 10 since he was second in Catalonia, and we all know what happened there. He went on to win the sprint and the Grand Prix. Maverick Vinales, a quick check on him, down in 10th place. Work to do from that 4th row. First time Maverick's qualified outside the top 10 in 14 since the Sachsenring last year. Let's hope he can make the start. It has been an Achilles heel for Maverick Vinales. He does tend to go the wrong way at the start of these sprints, so let's see how this one unfolds.
And he's right in the middle of the midfield mayhem as well, starting on the 4th row. He's got Pedro Acosta and Alex Marquez immediately ahead of him, Jack Miller and Ralph Fernandez right behind him. So Maverick's going to have to get his elbows out on that first lap. Both of the Factory Aprilia riders are, because as mentioned, Aleix Espargaro may well find it a struggle on the long straight, so he'll want track position early on.
KTM hopes pinned firmly on the shoulders of Brad Binder. He goes from 4th place on the grid. And what about the rookie sensation, Pedro Acosta, who has lit up the night sky here in Qatar throughout his first MotoGP weekend. Pedro Acosta goes from 8th. Let's get some pre-sprint thoughts from KTM Motorsport Director Pit Barlow, who joins Simon.
He does. Pit, got to say, I haven't seen Brad as confident and determined as I have for all this weekend. Listening to his debriefs, he's got this steely focus, as well as being as fit as I've ever seen him. He's in the right position, second on the second row on the grid. Jack was a little bit scrappy, but he got through into Q2. And you've got to tell us about Pedro, what you think.
Well, I mean, yeah, it was tough again to get the boys through to Q2 first, but then we had 3 in there, but then all of them had a slight mistake in their best lap, so we still have some potential to do the 1 lap better. Brad and Jack had a mistake in their best lap, where they said there was some potential to do even better. So I feel we are okay on the 1 lap pace, if you see how incredible faster lap time became even from last November. So this class is so brutal. You need to improve all the time in bigger steps. But yeah, we are there. We are in the hunt. Second row, starting from second row with Brad could be a very interesting race for us, I hope. And then what Pedro is doing is outstanding. Beside the pure lap times, just how he's acting, how he's feeling, how relaxed he goes into this class is really amazing. And I think we're going to have some great moments together with this boy on our bike.
Thank you, Pit. Good luck.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, thanks, Pit. Thanks, Simon. I think he's bang on the money with that assessment. They are going to have several great moments with that 19-year-old teenager, Pedro Acosta, on that bike. What an introduction to MotoGP it was yesterday. Acosta in his first practice session was 3rd quickest, 3rd fastest in the dry as well last night. A wet session that was topped by Marc Marquez. You can just sense, these guys are the best riders in the world. They're used to this kind of style, but there's so many tense, nervous, anxious-looking faces on the grid. The butterflies will be in the stomach. Marquez even looking pensive, and he's been there, done it, and got the T-shirt on numerous occasions. Getting himself in the zone then is Pedro Acosta, probably the most exciting rookie to hit MotoGP since Marquez himself back in 2013. Lewis really cannot wait to see what he can deliver this year and beyond.
Every challenge that's ever been thrown ahead of Pedro Acosta in his Grand Prix career, which began here 3 years ago, he has passed it with flying colours. He has impressed us all this weekend. And to say that he's impressed us, our expectations were already pretty high after what he did in testing. He was inside the top 3 in his very first practice session yesterday, performing his own save of the season competition while he was at it, and qualifying on the 3rd row of the grid, just 0.3 of a second off pole position for his MotoGP debut. You cannot say enough good things about Pedro Acosta, but this and then the 22-lap tomorrow, Grand Prix tomorrow, they are truly the acid test of the Moto2 world champion.
Just look at some of the names that he's out-qualified. Alex Marquez, also a double world champion. Maverick Vinales, Jack Miller, a MotoGP winner for 2 different manufacturers. The list, the start of the list just rolls on and on. Pecco Bagnaia then, about to start his quest to continue this domination of MotoGP. The last 2 seasons, he's had to keep his cool, keep his nerves in nail-biting final round showdowns. He knows what it takes to win championships. He says he doesn't want to be a single world champion, he doesn't want to be a double world champion. He knows to be considered a great, to achieve legendary status in MotoGP, you need to be a multiple world champion. Well, he's already on a fast track to greatness, isn't he? The reigning world champion, 27 years of age now, 28 Grand Prix victories to his name. He had the most GP wins last year, the most podiums, the most poles, the most front rows, and he led more laps than any other rider. He is the man to beat, no question. Jorge Martin wants revenge. Maverick Vinales, a little tap on the tank of his factory Aprilia. Can Vinales make the start from 10th position? A former MotoGP winner, of course, here in Qatar. In fact, on this current grid, nobody's won more Grand Prix here than Maverick Vinales.
He's got a very good record around here, although both of those previous victories were on Yamahas. Of course, he hasn't tasted victory since departing Yamaha back in 2021. It would be a tall order for Maverick Vinales to achieve that from 10th on the grid. Gloves on for Pecco Bagnaia. Well, the gloves are about to be off as MotoGP goes racing for the first time in 2024. At the back end of last year, Pecco Bagnaia wasn't exactly a sprint specialist. Can he change that as 2024 gets underway?
Jorge Martin, 26-year-old Spaniard, on pole position, going for his 9th successive Tissot sprint podium. Won the sprint here last November in what was an all Ducati top 5, but 10th in the Grand Prix after wheel spin off the line, put a huge dent in his title aspirations. Here we go, then the countdown well and truly underway. The Qatar Airways Grand Prix of Qatar to kick off 2024. Looming large, Enea Bastianini on the front row on the factory Ducati. Aleix Espargaro, can he take Aprilia's first ever podium here in Qatar? And starting the season opener from pole position, Jorge Martin, second in the World Championship last year, so close to defeating Pecco Bagnaia. The Martinator on pole as he looks to go one better in 2024.